Do you struggle to take everything you know, everything you've built, and turn it into an offer ecosystem that people actually understand and want to buy? You have the expertise, you have the ideas, but getting all of that out of your head and into offers that connect, speak to the right people, sell with ease, and actually grow your business, that's a whole different skill set. And that's exactly what this show is about. Welcome to the Offer Mojo Show. I'm Lori Young, offer strategist and creator of the Offer Mojo framework. I help coaches and expert led business owners package their expertise into offers you love and buyers actually crave. Because when your offers finally click, everything else gets easier. Let's get into it. I have a guest with us today that I met at a recent event called the Visibility Velocity. And we are both podcast hosts that hosted that show. And it was just really fun to meet Jim. And I just knew I had to have him on the show for a couple of reasons. One is if you've heard me talk about this in past episodes, I'm a marketer, right? And sales has always been my Achilles heel in business. And so when I found out that Jim was a sales expert for people who actually are running a little bigger businesses than probably my audience is, I was like, oh my God, like I have to have you on, one, because I know I can learn from you and the listeners can really learn from you. And two, I just think it's going to be a fun conversation. So I want to set this episode up. Basically, what we're going to be talking about is what successful coaches are doing today in the sales game. Jim works with clients that are probably in the multi 6, 7 figure range. And he's helping them, and I'm going to explain this more in a formal way, but he's helping them build their business to be sales team ready. So they are ready to bring on a salesperson. I am not at that space in my life, and I know most of my listeners are probably in the 75K to 150K range. And so I think it's perfect for us to learn from you today, Jim, on what we need to do to set our business up for success in the sales game. So before we dive in, I want to do a formal introduction because I want you guys just to know a little bit about Jim's background. Jim Padilla he didn't learn sales in a training room. He grew up in a chaotic home, landed in foster care at 15, was living on the streets at 16, and in jail by 19. That decade shaped him in ways that are real and human. He learned how to read a room, earn trust fast, and help people make clear decisions when everything felt uncertain. Those skills turned out to be exactly what sales leadership is made of. Today, Jim is the founder and CEO of Gain the Edge, a done-for-you sales training and team building company he runs with his wife and business partner, Cindy. Together, they've helped coaches, consultants, and thought leaders generate over $250 million in sales. His work is built on one core belief, and I love this belief. It's not what you're saying in a sales conversation, it's who you're being while you're saying it. Jim has shared the stage with Jay Abraham and Les Brown, and his clients include some of the most recognized names in coaching and personal development. He's here today to talk about what successful coaches are actually doing in the sales game today and what it takes to prepare yourself for the next level. So I have a little bit of a little bit of a scratchy throat. But anyway, what I want to start with, Jim, is how you went from one, like just having this really chaotic background and being in jail to running this super successful like company in sales. Like, why sales? Like, help me understand the transition between those two worlds.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Lori. It's been a good journey. It's a fun journey to get here
Yes.
between our interactions, and you know, I find that the most successful stories and the ones worth telling always seem to be the ones that kind of created themselves. Like none of this was intentional by my design.
Right.
It was a series of amazing happenings that, quite honestly, can be attributed to God, just positioning in the right place at the right time for the right opportunity to happen. And selling is something that is a lot of people have these weird opposition to, and it's because they think it has to be a thing instead of recognizing that it's just really tapping into the very core of who you are, because
Mm.
we are designed for it. We're wired for it. We are influential beings. Every single person listening to this, watching to this, everybody you've ever met, everybody you're ever going to meet is wired to respond to messaging. And that messaging is words, body language, is everything about you. And you've been selling every day of your life for your whole life to everybody. It's just that when you get into a sales environment, you start thinking it has to be a thing instead of just more of you.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. And when you were talking about this, it reminded me of back like I was like in a sales and marketing company, and at the time I was in operations, and I anytime I wanted to make a change in the company, like I would go to the owners of the company and present my case, and it's like looking back, it's like, oh my God, I was selling constantly because they would call me Bulldog because it was like, you don't give up. Like, do you? It's like, no, like this is a good idea. I mean, but I myself, like we get in this conversation and think, oh my God, we're selling, our offer, we're selling this transformation. And suddenly it's like something happens like mentally that we lose sight of like what the real purpose of sales is.
Yeah. And it's interesting, and I love your focus and emphasis is around the offer,
Mhm.
and the offer is the first thing we start with when we're
Right.
working with clients. People typically come to us because they either need a sales team or they need a sales leadership, and we've learned over on the way to delivering over $500 million worth of results that literally no companies are actually ready for a sales team because their company wasn't designed to make money.
Mhm.
And the first thing to be able to have somebody else sell you and your services besides you is your company has to be designed for it, because
Right.
the founder is got all kinds of magic. And that's wonderful. And as long as you plan on going down with the ship at some day in the future when it goes, then you keep doing that. But at some point, you have to have, we emphasize your company being able to generate sales, not you being able to generate sales, which requires system, process, structure, strategy, things that go outside of you.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask you is like, if you so you currently work with companies that are a little bit bigger, they're multi six figure, seven figure, but prior to that, they're where my listeners are,
Hmm.
and they had to cross over that threshold to get to where they are today and working with you. Tell me, like, what do you think is like the number one like sales belief that they had to let go of to actually cross over that threshold?
Yeah, the first thing that I see, there's this weird perspective that a lot of people think they see somebody who's achieving success
Hmm.
and they go, well, when I get to that place, I can do that thing. And, or
What is that place when I get
if
to?
you see a seven figure, eight-figure entrepreneur, and
Hmm.
you say, "Oh, sure, easy for you." Like I talk about being an unrelenting truth teller,
Okay.
because the truth sells like nobody's business. And
Hmm.
most people would say, I say, "Look, you got to tell people right away." And the truth isn't just telling them the bad stuff; it's telling the good stuff. It's telling them how amazing you are at what you do. And if you don't own it and don't claim it, you're not telling the truth. But you don't want to come off as pushy or some weird fill in the blank word, right? That the first piece is you have to look in the mirror and know that no matter what anybody else says, the success you want is completely possible for you.
Yes.
It can't just be possible. You know it's possible because you've seen other people do it,
Right.
but you have to know it's possible for you.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's Oh my gosh, that's so true because yeah, it's a part of like your inner, like you said before, of like your inner identity of like what you believe about yourself. Like I did a lot of identity work last year in 2025, which, I would say at the beginning of 2025, I didn't believe like that kind of success was possible. By the end of 2025, it's like, oh my god, like I am brilliant at what I do. I know I'm good at what I do. It's just a matter of having the right strategies in place. There's nothing that could stop me from being successful other than I just don't want to be or something like that. Right?
Yes. Yes, for sure. And I think, well, there's a lot of people who say things like, "Ah, I just don't want the headache of being big," or I don't want what comes with that, or I don't want to be seen a certain way. And I don't want to call any, my experience has been that most of that is just, it's giving yourself out in case you don't make it.
Mm,
Right? So own the fact if you want to, it's not about you want big, big. I'll be honest with you, we've generated a lot of money here and we've
right.
had millions of dollars come through our company. And the money is not the issue. It's the impact. I love being able to have great significance in big places and around the world and be able to reach lots of people.
Mhm.
And that comes when you have a bigger business, a bigger reach, et cetera. And that has to be funded by growth. And unless you have somebody who's writing you checks to fund your growth, then you have to self-fund it, which means you have to be able to generate revenue through your business by making great offers and having powerful positioning.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So your podcast tagline, it says, it's not what you're saying, it's who you're being, right? So
Right.
for a coach who's generating, or an expert, I work with a lot of service-based subject matter experts as
Sure.
well. They're making like 75 to 100K a year, and they still feel like they're convincing people to work with them. What is like the identity shift that needs to take place internally for them to like propel their success?
Well, we have an identity framework that
Okay.
we call the three R's, and it's about reckon, rewire, and rise. Reckon is about facing the truth. That's acknowledging reality. You have to own where you are without excuses or defense,
Mm-hmm.
right? Bring what's hidden into the light. And this is about clarity and not judgment. This is you saying, I am better. If like we're pretty good, we've built a lot of things. So we've got a vast array of skills, expertise, tools, and strategies.
Mm-hmm.
But what we really, really focus on is designing a company to generate revenue. We've got a myriad of solutions along the way. Right now, the piece of the pie that we can solve inside of your business is pretty decently wide. When I first started this, it was very narrow because I only had a little bit of expertise. But what
Okay.
I did was I had to own that my little sliver,
Mm-hmm.
I was greatest at my little sliver than you were, and you have 99% of the whole pie and you're world class at all those other things, but you're deficient in this one thing, which is why you're coming to me, and I am world class at solving this problem, so let me stay in my lane and solve this problem. Right,
Yes.
so you have to own it and just shrink it down to as thinly sliced of a piece of expertise
Mm-hmm.
as you can, that makes you say, this is my domain.
Yes. Yes. And that is what I say all the time with the clients that I'm working with on this episode. It's all about finding your lane. It's like, where are you going to put the stake in the ground? And a lot of, I'm getting ready to record a new episode about niching down and why people are so afraid of that and why it's important to find that core specialty, that core expertise that you can be known for. And like you said, that doesn't mean that all that other experience that you might have or all of those other passions that you might have can't be layered in to what your core specialty is. Like I know, like you said, your core lane is sales, right? But you have a lot of other like strategies and a lot of other things that you help business owners with. But you lead with that one thing of becoming like sales team ready, of becoming like generating revenue in the business, which of course is the most important part of the business, right?
Right. Correct. And it's just, you have to have enough swings at the bat. You have to have enough trips to the plate. I played baseball at college, so I got a lot of sports metaphors. But when you come to the plate
Mhm,
and you've been there 100 times, you're going to be way more effective than the first couple of times.
mhm.
And then after you've been there 1,000 times or 10,000 times, then you're not even thinking anymore about some of the smaller things. But when you're trying to get that first six figures, or you're trying to make those first $10,000 sales, etc., you're thinking about a lot of things. And what we need to do is just be laser focused on the outcomes you deliver and the experiences you provide, and be unapologetic about them. Say, listen, I want you to be practicing having some bold statements. And I say it because an audience like yours, I believe, is very heart centered
Mhm,
and lead with their heart. So you're never going to steamroll and bulldozer somebody, right?
mhm.
I used to own an alarm company. We used to take
Okay.
people door to door selling, and we didn't take compassionate, heart centered, transformational salespeople door to door. We took former military, former athletes, because they had to get the doors slammed on their face, people
Right.
telling them to get off, the F off my doorstep. I mean, you got to have a certain kind of personality that can endure that
Exactly.
and do it in storming rains or 120 degrees heat. Um, but what happens is you just start building up this awareness, and you start being able to identify and when somebody is opening up to wanting assistance, right? Because you're not focused on all the things that are going wrong. You're just focusing on who's behind the next door that's going to want this opportunity. And we have to start doing that same thing as we roll. So the more reps we get at what we do, the better we're going to be at it. And so I want to just jump on this our framework real quick. So like I said, it's the three R's for the
Mhm,
identity shift:
mhm.
reckon, rewire, and rise. So face the truth about what
Right.
is there,
Mhm.
good and bad. Where's your limitations? Leave those alone, and really own with extreme prejudice
Yes.
your strengths. You've
Mhm.
got to own, because nobody else will if you don't.
And
Okay.
you have to tell the truth, like you said, like tell the truth about not only just what your strengths are, but what you're doing really well in your business and what you're kind of like ignoring. Like I
Yes.
earlier today was listening to one of your podcast episodes, and
Mm.
you were talking about how a lot of people focus so much like on marketing, and they ignore the whole like sales pipeline strategy. And I'm like, oh my god, that's me. Like that is so me. Like I'm such a marketer. Like I will do content all day long. I will do get into conversations, but it's like for me, I get stuck. I'm like, how do I build a sales pipeline? Like how do I even recognize if a person is interested in or needs support around building their offers? Um, so yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Well,
that's
the funny thing
part
is,
of honesty, I think.
everybody needs to refine their offers, but typically the sign of somebody who has is you have typically the person who is going to need some uniformity in their offer is the person who's making a lot of different offers, because they're literally just trying to match the offer to whoever shows up. So
Yes.
you got too much customization, which is the first roadblock to any kind of exponential growth, because growth requires streamlining and
Yes.
uniformity. So if I can solve 90% of my clients' problems with these narrow things, and then I only customize 10 or 20%, now
Mhm.
I can be much more effective, profitable, and expertise,
Right.
right? Because you're not trying to solve for everything. But from a simplicity perspective, I really encourage, like, don't get all fancy with marketing. Don't try to come out, what's my opt-ins and my lead magnets.
Right.
Start Here's one of the best things we do. If I was starting a business today and I knew I could solve a problem and I have what I think is a good offer, all
Mhm.
you want to do, don't focus on what the offer is, like the deliverable. Focus on the outcome,
Mhm.
and go out to the marketplace and just talk about the outcome. Outcome, outcome, outcome. Talk about the problems that require your outcome.
Mhm.
Talk about the second and third order consequences of not solving the problem
Mhm.
of your ideal identified outcome, and let people let them validate it. Because when people say yes to that, what they're doing is they're validating your offer. They're telling you what
Right.
you have is something that I want to buy. And let
Yes.
somebody write you a check for 1,000, 10,000, 20,000, whatever it might be. And then you use that to go build the offer. But don't build an offer and then hope somebody will find it. We call that being a product in search of a prospect. And that can be a lonely desert. And we
Yeah.
don't want that for you. So
Right.
make sure you're really, really clear. Then when you start designing offers, you design offers with the outcomes that they want and the experience that they need in mind,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Don't sell widgets and tools and stuff.
Right. Right.
Um,
Makes sense. Okay, I know we're both kind of a go with the flow
yeah.
kind of person. We've gotten a little bit off track. We were talking about the framework of,
Yes.
and I think we are on the rewire part, right?
Yes.
So we've reckoned with ourselves, like what we're good at, what we're not good at, what we need to be changing in our business, and getting really honest about that. Now
Yes.
we need to rewire.
Yes. So rewire is simply is changing your thinking, right? It's you understanding that you have to own it or nobody else will, right? No one's going to come along and say you're the most amazing thing ever if you're not believing that. Okay. So
Right.
rewire how you think. Then the next one is rise, because as you start changing your thinking, what you have to start thinking about is who is the person your ideal buyer
Mhm.
is going to want to follow. Who's the person they're going to respect? Who's the person they're going to look up to, believe? And then you start creating that identity. And one thing that I hear a lot in the coaching world, especially, is authenticity. Authenticity. Be your authentic self. You got to be your authentic self. I have come to discover that my authentic self is like 20 different people, right? I'm Nana. I'm Papa. I got grandkids, right? I'm husband. I'm father.
Uh-huh.
I'm I'm industry leader. I'm world class sales expert. I'm the sales godfather. I'm a chaplain at my church,
Uh-huh.
right? I'm a lot of different people, and
Mhm.
so it's not about it's about getting really clear with who you need to be for them, and then you rise and step into that new form. I take on the persona of the sales godfather a lot. I've had, branding partners and people come to me with it. It's not something I created for myself. I
Mhm.
very humbly and reluctantly stepped into this identity. But what it is I'm a Bronx Puerto Rican. My street mentality comes out a little bit. And
I
I'm
love
just
it.
like, hey, man, this is where my truth teller is. This is where my leader is. And the godfather is the one who knows the most and takes care of everybody.
I
If you
love
watch the
that.
Godfather movies, yeah, they're a little violent and crazy and gory, but the Godfather is the one that makes sure that the widows and orphans don't get taken advantage of. They make
Mhm.
sure everybody gets a Thanksgiving, a meal on Thanksgiving, right? All of those things. So it's making sure that everything works right. It's
Right.
understanding your identity. From there, I can build anything,
Mhm.
right?
I I want to say I have to play slight devil's advocate, or just share a story,
Please.
just to make sure that I haven't misunderstood you.
Okay.
I When we talk about authenticity, and stepping into the person, or that identity, that we need to be for our next level of success, right? I just read a story about a woman who was running a seven-figure business and wanted more, wanted to build beyond that. And she joined a mastermind. And the mastermind was, telling her, you need to be this, you need to be that, you need to be this person, you need to be this. In order for you to get to the next level, you need to be this. And she started changing her personality and her identity, like based on what this mastermind was telling her to do.
Yeah.
6 months, 1 year into the process, she was completely disconnected from herself,
Yeah.
miserable in her business, and it
Understood.
just did not like just was not connected to the way she was running her business or to the identity that she had created, even though she had success.
Yeah. So
So
let
talk,
me. That's. I'm glad you shared that. So here's a little clarity on that. This
right.
all of these roles, identities,
Mhm.
none of them are false or fictitious or made up. They're
Mhm.
all just pieces of me, right?
Mhm. Right.
So that's a number one difference is these are all have to be real identities to you. You don't just get to be Superman if you're a Catwoman. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
it's like or Supergirl, whatever the
Right.
equivalent is. Um, and so because like for me, I have, these are things that are all very natural to me,
Mhm.
and they were called out of me by other people. So it
Mhm.
wasn't like I'm going to be this or some marketer said I have to be that. You
Right.
know, people put these on us. We had people tell us for years that, everybody I talk to says we love Jim and Cindy. We love Jim and Cindy. So we started wearing, again, reluctantly at first, the most loved and respected sales experts in the game because everybody was telling us that. That was
Right.
giving. So we started, let's just be that. I don't need to be the iron fisted anything. I need to be a guy who shows up and loves people so much that I want to help them win.
I love that. Yeah.
Right. So but they're all different parts of me.
Yes. Right.
Right. So
Right.
that's really what I want to, so be clear about. It's not finding some crazy identity that the marketplace wants. It's finding the part of you that they need.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us haven't always found that identity, right? Or we
Yes.
haven't owned our full identity, right? We own parts of it, but not the full. And like when people give us like a compliment, like people do to you guys, at first we're like, okay, well, thanks, but we don't necessarily own it or embody that
Yeah.
identity, right?
Yep.
And I like that because when you are being told something, um, you have to embody that identity and really own,
Yes.
yeah, okay, yes, thank you, that's a really nice compliment, and yes, that's really true, right?
Right.
That really
Exactly.
is true, and I am going to embody that identity. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that I uh, clarified that because there's a lot of stories online
Yes.
about that kind of thing.
Well, I'll tell you this, there's nothing that is more enrolling than you. Meaning no trick, no script, no template, no fake identity, no nothing. The
Mhm.
most enrolling thing you will ever do is be yourself, but the best version of yourself,
Right.
right? And because that's what people are buying. You can't be me, I'm already taken. You can't be Lori, she's already taken,
Right.
right? You can't be, pick your favorite, Alex Hermosi, whomever.
Right.
You're you. Just do you. And know that there's a portion of the world that absolutely craves it because they will connect with you on such a level. But what I don't want to see you do is lose an opportunity because you were busy trying to be something that you thought the market wanted when you just needed to be the very best version of you.
Yes, yes, I so relate to that. When you said Alex Hermosi, I've literally had someone say to me, I made like some kind of a post about like an offer ecosystem. He's like, why have more than one offer? He said, Alex Hermosi says you only need one great offer. And I'm like, okay, number one, I'm not Alex Hermosi. I don't have the audience that Alex Hermosi has. And I don't believe that you only need one offer. So there's that. But anyway, yeah, that's we put. I've even had like a coach tell me you need to take Alex Hermosi's book and just break it down for people in your content. And I'm like, why? Let Alex be Alex.
Yeah,
I'm going to be me, right?
totally. I like that a lot. One thing that is very helpful is that people need to, you have to have a point of view, and your point of view is one of those things that comes from the deep recesses of you. And a point of view is often just like a pet peeve. We have a lot of a lot of POVs, and one of them is that you will never be your best self while trying to protect your weakest self, right? Because too many times people are over here trying to, well, I don't want to make a mistake, and I'm over here protecting,
Mm.
and that's not the person who's going to rise and shine. The person who's going to help that part of you the most is the person who's going to seize the mountaintop,
Right.
because you're going to elevate everything else around you, right? And we just believe that the people who want it the most are the ones who are going to get it, and so this tend to be the people we work with. We're
Right.
not, if somebody just is really comfortable with a laptop lifestyle and I just want to make enough money to pay my bills, awesome. I'm
Yes.
just not your guy, I can't help you,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
But
And
if you,
knowing that is okay.
totally.
Yeah.
And which is what got the conversation going between us, because when we first, when I first reached out to Lori,
Mhm.
we were on this panel of amazing experts, podcast hosts, and I said, "Hey, let's have a conversation." And when she found out what I did, she's like, "Oh, I don't think we're really a good fit because my audience isn't what your audience is." I said, "I know, but that's because we people come to us, and if they're in a really startup phase, we just don't have a lot for them because we're working with more advanced people. And I
Sure.
like a good place that I can send those people who I
Right.
can trust to be taken care of,
Right.
so that when they're ready, they can come back to us.
Exactly.
And so once we had that conversation, then it
Right.
was great. It's like we can help her advanced people as they're going to the next places,
Mhm.
and she can help the people who come to us get ready for the kind of work that we can work with them on. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I loved what you said about, and I say this oftentimes too to my clients when we're building offers. It's like, not everyone is ready for your work. You are not building an offer for someone someday that might want your offer. You're building your offer for someone who's ready today for your work. And I think that we are often trying to sell to people who aren't ready for our transformation. They're just not ready. They may not be ready financially. They may not be ready emotionally. They may not be ready mentally. They, who knows, identity wise, they might not be ready. They might have different goals. A business coach in one of my communities wanted to do a book club, and she's like, oh, I just really want to read this book on a company of one, and I want to get a bunch of people to read it. And I'm like, I don't want to read that book. Like, I don't want a company of one. Like, I want a bigger company than that. So, and it's okay. It's okay for me to want that kind of business, and for her to want a company of one. It's totally fine,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
knowing who our ideal target audience is and who we're actually talking to. One of the things I want to also ask, we talked a lot about identity, and I think, honestly, I feel like identity is probably the number one thing that caps our growth. But I do think that there are practical things that need to be in place also for us to scale into multi six and seven figures. If you were to like identify like the 2 to 3 things that really need to be in place and solid for you to scale it to that level, like what would you say they are?
You want to have really strong qualification up front before they come to an offer. And then you want really strong validation after they come to an offer, because most people don't buy on the first point of contact. And they don't often buy, no matter how great your offer is, the
Mhm.
first time that they meet you. They need to, well, they come to you and they come in and they go, okay, this is interesting. I really like what Lori's doing. Not quite ready, but let me just watch her now. Let me
Mhm.
learn from her. So maybe they're going to go to your podcast. They're going to come
Right.
to a workshop. They're going to do some things. The whole 711 forward number that Google came up with years ago, and it's far more than that now, but it's 7 hours of content over 11 touch points over 4 platforms, right?
Wow.
That's what the average buyer does before they buy from you. So you need to design your world so that they're getting those 7 hours, those 11 touch points, those 4 platforms. So when you're in our world, you're coming to a workshop, you're coming to an event, you're coming watching our podcast,
Mhm.
you're getting experiences of what we do, and over time you're going, man, these guys are really good at what they do. And
Mhm.
so now then they can start taking action. So you need to start designing your world with that in mind. If it's going to take longer and more touch points for people to come to your world,
Mhm.
design it that way to begin with. Don't keep trying to optimize to be the one person who's closing one call closes on the first go around with all these people, because that's just not a thing, guys. It really isn't.
Yeah, and I know that to be true. My older son is a sales executive, enterprise sales executive,
Right.
and so he is working on deals that it's like, oh my god, Kai, like how long is it going to take to close this deal? Like, I mean, like a year. Like he may be working with someone for like a year
Yeah.
before he can actually get a signature on, you know, I don't know what they call it, the whatever they call in enterprise sales. It's like a, the signature on work order,
Work.
or
Yeah.
the statement. I
You're
don't know.
getting POs and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's a billion other things that they have to
Right.
go through. But and I often talk about what you talk about as like having an omni-channel approach to marketing. But I
Yeah.
think it is helpful to have that mentality of, I mean, I don't know. I say this with love and kind of laughter, but like I'm a Capricorn, so I have the gift of consistency and discipline. So it's like I have been a consistent marketer for like years. But I often get into that mindset of like, God dang, man, like I've been marketing for, for so long, and I feel like I'm talking to a wall and nobody's responding. And then someone out of the blue will just like contact me. It's like, where did this person come from? And
Yeah.
they've probably been in my world for a while or whatever. So omni-channel approach to marketing, knowing that there has to be multiple touch points over a period of time, and just going in with that mindset. What else in the business like needs to be solid? Um,
You have to understand the journey that people are on. And so, what I would recommend everybody do, and this is where we start with everyone
mhm.
initially, is you have to break down every single step that everybody takes in your world before they buy and after they buy, or after they come to an offer.
Okay.
Because, and you have to break it down to the ridiculous nuance. Here's as an example: you might say, "Oh, they see me on stage, they opt in for something, and then they book a call, and then we have an offer."
Mhm.
Well, in my world, that's like 32 steps,
Okay.
right?
Right.
Because I have to go, what's the mechanism of the offer, that the pitch that you made, the invitation, how did they receive it? When did they get to it? What's coming on behind it? Did you call them? Did somebody call them? Was there any AI? Was there
Wow.
automation?
Mhm.
Right. Then when they say book a call, book a call for most people is one step. Book a call for us is like 13 steps. It's like I need to understand what's my invitation. What's the mechanism that's going to get them to book a call? How will they confirm it? What will they do to make sure that it's on their calendar? How will they be ready for the call? Is there a video? Is there an assessment? What is our team going to do to be able to be ready? It's like there's a lot of steps. And so
Mhm.
you have to think about every single step, because
Step.
that's where opportunities fail, is because you didn't think about something that, sometimes people don't show up for an opportunity. And you're like, oh, they must not have been interested. Maybe it just wasn't crystal clear what they were supposed to do next. And you
Right.
missed that because you didn't design that with
Yes.
conversion in mind.
Hmm.
Right. So you have to break it down to the most ridiculous, nuanced little step. Once you have all those documented, now everything can start being optimized. Which things can you do better? Which things can you maybe eliminate because they're just a barrier to success?
Sure.
Which things then can we do get predictable outcomes for? Then we start going, okay, now which things can we automate and put AI to? But you
Right.
don't put AI to solve the problem until you understand every step in this process, so
Right.
that you understand where's the opportunity that AI can win with in
Yes.
automation. So everything starts with that step. And then when you do, you're going to learn so much about your own sales process, because you can say, wow, I didn't realize all of these things happen. And it's interesting, only 20% of the people actually complete this step, but there's part of my problem. So just by identifying your process, you're going to start seeing what works and what doesn't. So
Right.
make sure you document that for sure. That's going
Yes.
to be a big one for you. And then that's something you should be revisiting, if not annually. We do it like almost monthly around here with our
Okay.
clients core, especially if you're moving
Sure.
high pace
That
at all.
all those systems are dialed in and not like falling apart in any particular way.
Yep. And understand the system does not equal technology. I know that's a bad word in today's AI driven marketplace,
Mhm.
but the human touch is craved by so much of the marketplace more and
Yes.
more. I think 10 years from now, everybody will be automated. Right now, there's still a segment of the world that just fights it and is afraid of it. And you have to be able to overcome the doubt and the fear that they have, because
Yes.
they don't know what to trust. And
Yes.
they can always trust you when they can hear from you.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, okay, let's see. What else was I going to ask you? So, one of the things I want to talk about is the the idea of kind of what you guys teach, and that is the idea of someone else stepping in to your previous role or current role as the founder of the company, and that did all of the sales. You're the one, like doing the webinar, doing the, speaking at the summit, doing this, doing that, like you're writing the emails. All that's what a founder does, and they get in, and I know just from my own experience and my own brain that it's like, okay, people want to work with me, right? They want to talk to me. They want to be able to trust me. So, how could I put someone else in charge of closing a sale for me? Because people buy because of me, right? And I know a lot of founders think like that. We're very protective of our personal brands. Like I'm
Yeah.
protective of my content. Like I could have people write my content, but it's like you can't be me. Like it's just like, but I know that's a barrier
It
to
is.
like scaling. So talk to us about how do we make that transition from like being taking real personal ownership for our brand and being very proud of and loving our brand and not wanting our brand and reputation to be tarnished, to turning a very critical piece of the business over to someone else.
Yeah. And it's interesting because almost without exception,
Hmm.
that's the kind of statement we've heard from every client we've ever worked with
Hmm.
on some level.
Hmm.
Uh, so, do you have you ever driven a Ford vehicle or been in one or seen one?
A Ford
Yeah,
vehicle?
yeah.
Yes. Hmm.
And do you know Henry Ford?
No.
And the chances are this person that draws that vehicle doesn't know Henry Ford either, right? Because they're buying from vehicles that he designed. His brand, his IP, his knowledge, everything inside of that car
Hmm.
is a Ford product, Ford design, Ford patents, Ford everything.
Hmm.
But it's not Henry Ford. Henry Ford didn't make it for you,
Right.
right? And I know it's kind of a ridiculous example, but that's exactly what our businesses are like. What you have to embrace is the reality that your wisdom and knowledge and insight and expertise has created this ecosystem that we call your business.
Hmm.
And inside of your business, everything in your company is Lori Young's solution, Lori Young's touch, Lori Young's values, Lori Young's, experience, expertise, etc. And guess what? Your rule, your circus, your monkeys, you get to decide every part of what happens inside of that ecosystem. And then you have to trust that everything inside that ecosystem is going to be carried out for your customers and clients. They get to experience Lori Young at every touch point without ever talking to Lori Young
Mm.
because it's your knowledge, your wisdom, your insight. We've got vaults of systems, processes, structures, SOPs, IP, and it's all from our experience, from all of our, from the thousands of campaigns, thousands of salespeople, everything that we have done and delivered. And so that when we're running multiple campaigns for people, and I'm not running any of them, our
Right.
team leaders are using our systems, our structure, our
Hmm.
IP. Write this down. This is a word that everybody can benefit from this day forward, even if you are a solopreneur with one VA or no VAs.
Hmm.
Write down this word, WE. We.
UE.
We.
Okay.
From this day forward, everything you say in the marketplace is we. This is how we do it. This is how we've done it. This is what we'll do for you.
Okay.
This is how we will impact you going forward. And they, now you start conditioning them. Number one, that there's not just you. And believe it or not, you, even though they love your brilliance, it's also a little scary to know that I'm just working with you. Because what if you get sick or go to Thailand or I don't know what
That's what I just did. I just went to Japan and Thailand, and I had to put my clients on hold.
well, there you go, right?
I want to weave in something that's
Yes.
really important now because this is where I think our work like really like intersects with each other, and that is this is why I tell people when we are building offers, you need to build a proprietary framework for your expertise, and it's you're not just you know, a systems strategist
Right.
or whatever. Like it's like you have a very specific method and a very specific way that you work with clients to achieve the results that you do. And that is your framework. For me, yes, it's Lori Young, but it is the Offer Mojo framework.
Yes.
And all of my systems are built on that framework. So, could I train someone? Could I train another marketing strategist slash brand strategist, whatever, to come in, learn the Offer Mojo framework, deliver for my clients? 100%. 100%. It's all built in, a lot of it's supported by AI. Like, it's very specific framework. So that's why I want to mention that, because it's like, yes, it's me, but it's really kind of like a product. It's like you said, you've got all these like systems and processes and frameworks and IP that's all like built on your knowledge.
Yeah.
And you can train people on your knowledge so that you can expand. And eventually, like, what you get known for is that framework. That,
Very much so.
yeah.
And everybody, you should be naming everything. So it's worth taking some time to start designing like your naming convention.
Hmm.
How are you going to name tools? How are
Right.
you going to name systems,
Hmm.
processes? Because you want people to start really understanding they're in your world when they're
Yes.
working with you. They're not just buying your stuff. You want
Right.
them to feel like, oh, there's different here. It's like the more you do it, you start having like company language, tribal language.
Hmm.
Everybody knows that they're working on the revenue maps together. Everybody knows they're designing their mountaintop experience together, right?
Hmm.
Everybody knows they're delivering their offer stack and their offer pyramid. Those are all things that happen inside of our ecosystem. And so
Hmm.
that we work with every client on those things so that they all understand it. And those are things that get talked about on our group advisory sessions as well as in our world. And so you just want to be thinking about it because you're already putting the effort into creating the solution. Just put a
Hmm.
little bit more refinement into that so that you can really name these things and name them in a manner that is memorable first
Yes.
and foremost,
Hmm.
and then descriptive
Right.
secondary.
Yeah.
Memorable first, descriptive second. It's got to
Right.
be memorable. They need to understand why they want it.
Yes. Right. And I kind of think that circles back to what you were saying at the very, very beginning about that specificity, and like making sure that your work is very like specific and it's not like broad, and that there's an actual like ecosystem of offers built on a framework. Like, all of my offers are built on the Offer Mojo framework, whether
Yep.
you're buying the Offer Mojo squad, engaging in the Offer Mojo studio, doing an Offer Mojo sprint, whatever it is, it's all based and built off of that framework. And it's very specific. That's why I think it's hard for people who are generalist and that don't name like a very specific process to get that traction, into multiple six, seven figures.
Yeah. And I was listening to your last episode when you were diving into the AI solutions
Mm.
that you have in there, and we're all about AI. The two things for us is that number one, we are totally all for the humanity side of this, so that AI is there to enhance human, never to replace.
Hmm.
The other side is when everything we've been talking about, naming conventions, frameworks, processes, steps, and documentation, all of that allows you to feed AI on those things so that you now have unique, relevant, and searchable content so
Yes.
that the future is going to be AI search. And we've had people come to us because they've been recommended our tools or frameworks based on the problem that they were trying to solve on the internet or inside of AI.
Yep.
And that's powerful. Here's
Oh,
the advantage. As a solopreneur, if you only work with a handful of clients, you could still do that. It's gonna take you longer. But
mhm.
start that process now so that when you've got 2, 5, or 10 teammates and you're growing and you're running a 7 or 8 figure business, you've got a vault of searchable content everywhere that is searchable by AI standards, not by Google standards,
Yes.
because that means it's problem
100%.
specific and clearly identified and can be found.
Yeah. Yeah. My last five leads came from AI.
Mhm.
So, and people
Awesome.
are like, wow, like that's crazy. And it's like, no, that's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
People are searching in AI and coming up. And every single, the crazy thing about it is every single one except for one I closed
Nice.
because I came so highly recommended by AI, and it
Yeah.
was the exact solution that they were looking for and searching for.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all we have been doing now. But we don't have like an AI expert that just pounds out AI. We have tools, IP, and a vault of information,
Right.
and now we're turning all of those into AI solutions
Yes,
because we've
absolutely.
already got proven outcomes and proven processes.
Right. Exactly. It's exactly what I'm doing. So we're definitely on the same page there.
Perfect.
So I cannot believe it's been 50 minutes already. I want to talk about, I downloaded this because
Oh,
it's made easy.
excellent.
I will get to reading that. Maybe you can tell listeners a little bit about that ebook, Leads Made Easy,
Yes,
and how else they can get in touch with you and learn more about
absolutely.
your work.
So Leads Made Easy is I'm very proud of it. It's our first book. I've got about 50 books inside of me that people are always banging on me saying, when are you going to write your books? Um, but this one, what we've decided as a concept is we're going to start turning all of our trainings into a book suite, and the ebook, and then the digital training, and then we all do events on all of them so that now they can take the event and then implement. But the Leads Made Easy concept is centered around the focus on everything that we do in our company is instead of making you a better salesperson, we
Okay.
focus on helping you design your company so that sales happen. And one of those such things is our Leads Made Easy concept. And that is purely focused around you getting laser, just master focus on who your ideal person is that you solve the problems for,
Hmm.
what problem it is you solve for them, and
Hmm.
what are you going to do about them, what is the pain relief that comes, and then who are the ideal people who have those people in their sphere. Now, this is not just JV collaboration stuff.
Right.
It's at an advanced level. We have generated $100 million of revenue doing this. Is what we do.
Hmm.
And the Leads Made Easy book is literally walking you step by step through identifying your core collaboration network so that you start bringing people to you that are predisposed to wanting to buy. Sales isn't about you finding somebody who needs to buy your thing. It's about you being uniquely positioned so that they're predisposed to wanting to buy from you when the time comes.
I love
That's when
that.
sales gets happen. I get credit for being some big sales guru, etc. I'm really not. I'm better than most people. I've been doing this forever. I'm just really good at structuring our world in such a way that sales happen every day.
I love that. Like, wow, I love that. It's like, because so many of us are taught we have to go out and find leads, we have to go find, but I just like the concept of just structuring your business and positioning yourself in the right room so that leads just come to you.
Yeah.
That feels heavenly to me.
Yeah. And then the key on that is that you're always positioned
Hmm.
as the expert. I never get in sales environments where I have to prove myself to somebody. They
Right,
always come as with me being positioned as the expert, and that's what
right.
Leads Made Easy concept does. I'm so excited that you downloaded that because we literally just turned it loose. We've been in test phase. We've been doing it as a launch and delivering it for like 6 years. We
Oh, wow.
finally turned it
Okay.
into a book in Q4 last year, and we didn't. We kept playing with it and playing with it. We were going to launch it at Christmas time, and then we didn't. So we literally just did like a couple of weeks ago. So you're like
Oh,
one of the first
good,
people to
good.
download it.
So
Awesome.
I will put that link in the show notes. So hopefully you will get a lot of people to download that link or download that ebook. I just want to say thank you so much for being a guest. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your expertise. You're inspiring, and I just look up to what you're doing, and I know, especially now that I'm on your email list, I will learn from you, and hopefully our paths will cross in the future.
Absolutely.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me here. I appreciate you. We always take the opportunity with as much gratitude as possible. I don't want to take it for granted. Having us part of your success team. We're here as now you've trusted us in your community with your people, and we want to make sure that we serve well.
Awesome. Thanks again.